Welcome into this special presentation. I'm Melissa Andrews. 2022, a year in review. There is no way to cover it all in just 30 minutes, but over the next half an hour, we're going to take a look back at some of the biggest local stories from the last 12 months. Some of the stories are sad, others you'll find uplifting, but they all have one thing in common. They're about our community. And that list includes tragedy here in Northwest Ohio when Officer Dominic Francis lost his life serving our community. Tatiana Cash has the story.
2 a.m. March 31st, Hancock County. Local police and state troopers chased a speeding car south on I-75. Bluffton police officer Dominic Francis tossed out the stop sticks. The driver swerved, hitting and killing Officer Francis.
An officer is dead. 3 individuals in a vehicle killed him.
Authorities caught all 3 men, but not before they took Officer Francis from his wife, family, friends, and his community. We would later learn he served as a coach, a volunteer firefighter, and even drove a bus for his school district.
Any loss of personnel in the community hits pretty hard. I mean, these people lived here all their lives, their grandparents, their parents.
His life touched so many people, as did his death. Hundreds lined the procession to salute the fallen hero. And as they remembered the impact he had while he lived, trying to fill the void his death left behind. Tatiana Cash, WTOL 11.
On September 20th, a massive fire at the BP Husky refinery in Oregon killed these 2 brothers. Ben and Max Morrissey suffered severe burns and neither survived. A federal investigation found flammable chemicals inside the facility were somehow released, sparking the deadly blaze. That fire also caused significant damage to the refinery and brought the community together to support the Morrissey family.
But this is the one thing that we can control to make sure these 2 families with little children are taken care of.
The refinery also shut down operations after that incident without a timeline as to when oil production would resume. It's been just over 2 months since a scary scene here outside a local high school football game. Someone started shooting. Chase Bachman explains what happened next.
Friday night, Under the Lights took a terrifying turn outside Whitmer Stadium. Shots rang out.
There's a shooter! There's a shooter! We're in high school! We're in high school!
And police rushed to respond.
We got 1 shot in the north locker room right on the street. We are in front of this victim. I'm not sure where the second victim is.
Officers found 3 people shot. The victims ranged in age from a 17-year-old Whitmer student to a 28-year-old woman from Florida. All 3 survived, but the incident gained national attention as the popular show On Patrol Live followed TPD during its response.
There is a lot of tragedy that happens in Toledo, but there's a lot of tragedy that happens in the world as a whole. There's a ton of potential in the city of Toledo, and if people could just see the potential, I believe that it would minimize the violence.
Chase Bachman, WTOL 11.
As of this recording on December 9th, police are still looking for anyone connected to this car who they believe may be involved in that shooting. Well, here's a story that caught our community's attention. Police found 3-year-old Braylon Noble's body in a South Toledo apartment complex pool. That was 2 years ago. And on November 14th of this year, a judge sentenced his mom and grandma to probation for obstruction of justice. The pair told police they believed he fell from a 3rd-story window. Officers didn't find his body for 5 days. No one is charged with killing him.
It's a hurt like you can't even imagine.
You just heard from the family of 7-month-old Desire Hughes. Someone shot and killed her back in April. Police caught the suspect a few weeks later. She is one of 7 children killed in Toledo as of the end of November this year and one of 61 homicide victims as of December 7th, compared to 65 at the same time in 2021. The city of Toledo officially announced it expanded its violence interrupter program, now known as Save Our Community, on August 16th. New team members work to talk to people in the LaGrange neighborhood in an effort to curb violent crime and retaliation. They're also in the Junction and Englewood areas and working to move into East Toledo. On May 17th, WTOL 11's Michael Sandlin worked with Toledo police to map out gang territories in the city. TPD's gang task force named off 7 gangs and noted many members were young, between the ages of 12 to 17. The sergeant we talked to also said loyalties change quickly, and that creates more gun violence. You can find the full story on our website, WTOL.com. August 17th, all eyes were on a trial more than a year in the making. The last 2 suspects charged in the hazing death of BGSU sophomore Stone Foltz faced a judge. Jeff Smith has the story.
The story starts in March of 2021. 20-year-old Stone Foltz was pledging to the Pi Kappa Alpha, or Pike, fraternity at Bowling Green State University. He went to an off-campus event, drank too much, and died days later.
Attention Bowling Green Medic 101, you have a run to for a 20-year-old male that is unresponsive. He does have shallow breathing and has been drinking.
3 of Foltz's former fraternity brothers pleaded guilty to reckless homicide and hazing. 2 others admitted to tampering with evidence and hazing. 21-year-old Jacob Krinn and 24-year-old Troy Hendrickson chose to go to trial. A jury found them not guilty on the most serious charges, but
guilty of the offense of hazing, guilty of the offense of failure to comply with underage alcohol laws.
Now, Foltz's parents, Sherry and Corey, have started a foundation in their son's name to stop hazing.
Students need to understand that it's them that will make the change. They need to change the culture. So we look for all the students to step up to make the change.
And are suing BGSU, accusing the university of failing to prevent their son's death. Jeff Smith, WTOL 11.
Then this, on August 26th, the judge sentenced Shantae Hardin to 11 years in prison. His crime, operating a funeral home without a license. The judge called Hardin a con man, saying he lied to families and did not properly bury or handle the human remains. Next, as we continue our look back at the big stories of 2022, 11 investigates. Our team uncovers sexual assault at Cedar Point employee dorms. What we found and what changes happened once we started asking questions. Welcome back into our 2022 year in review. This spring, WTOL 11's investigative team uncovered 29 police reports for sexual assaults at Cedar Point's employee dorms. 11 investigates tried to talk to the park, but representatives only sent statements and would not go on camera with us. Victims we talked with say they were left without help.
I wish Cedar Point could have seen this coming, because we sure did. We were like, we're going to get all these people in here that could be a danger issue. When we expressed that concern, they were like, that's not yours to worry about.
Since our investigation, Cedar Point has disbanded its police department and allowed Sandusky Police to take over security at the park. You can check out WTOL 11 Plus for the entire series from 11 Investigates. More than 10 million people are abused by their partners every year. That is according to data from the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. One of those survivors shared her story in an effort to catch her abuser, and it worked. We do want to warn you, the images in this story from Kaylee Kirby are hard to see.
This is what my daughter looks like right now.
This is Jenna Lee, her face battered and bruised back in October at the hands of her children's father.
This isn't the first time he's abused me, but this is the worst.
She says she was talking to a male coworker on the phone about alcohol and learning to bartend. That's when she says Montrese Hughes got mad. Her family stood beside as she told her story in hopes of catching her abuser.
Jenna needs to know that there are people who support her, that we will help lead her in the right direction. She just needs to follow.
I'm hurt for her. I'm upset that this has been done to her, and to see her how she is, it just makes me want to cry.
In Toledo, Kaylee Kirby, WTOL 11.
Well, police caught her abuser the day after WTOL 11 shared Jenna's story. A grand jury indicted him on a domestic violence charge. He is currently awaiting trial in Lucas County Common Pleas Court. The city of Maumee changed to smart water meters, and this year people started seeing bills for thousands of dollars. Many people we talked with said the city told them they had a leak or used more water while workers weren't taking readings during the pandemic. But they argue that's not true and say the city was rude, even ridiculing or threatening them. Head to WTOL.com for a full breakdown on this story. Toledo City Council voted to fire its auditor on November 29th. Jake Jeksetic came under fire weeks earlier when Council President Matt Cherry called for a vote to suspend him. Council originally voted to suspend him for 30 days for job performance and behavior. WTOL 11 obtained his personnel file and asked for the audits he submitted. There were no specific documents, allegations, or complaints to back up the city's claims. Turning now to a story that's making headlines across the country, and it all stems back to vandalism and breaking and entering here in Northwest Ohio. Michael Sandlin explains.
November 15th, rural Van Wert County. The sheriff's office says someone broke into Lion Farms USA mink farm, releasing as many as 40,000 mink and spray painting an acronym for an animal activist group. A single gunshot rings out as Steve Replogle shoots one of the domesticated animals on the loose. He says the mink attacked his friend's chicken farm.
A danger to society, nuisance.
Something Curtis Young from The Ohio State University echoes.
They can get into flocks of chickens and ducks and other birds around that size, and they can devastate a flock.
The farm estimated some 10,000 are still missing after the initial release. Young says the cold weather and predators will likely kill the mink off if they don't starve to death first. Michael Sandlin, WTOL 11.
The only thing was holding my bed up was the carpeting. I had a crack about that big in my bathroom.
That's why the city of Adrian evacuated about 200 people living at the Riverview Terrace apartment complex on July 25th. Two engineering firms found structural issues in separate investigations. Renters found temporary housing, and the city eventually bought a building in which they could live. We're told repairs could take more than a year. Peloton announced plans in May of 2021 to build its first U.S. factory right here in Northwest Ohio. On February 8th, that all changed. The facility was supposed to be in Wood County's Troy Township, but Peloton pulled the plug on the $400 million project as sales slumped following the COVID pandemic. The company said it would finish the building and the county could sell it to someone else. A proposed outdoor concert venue in Waterville drew criticism for months. Council finally approved the plan on November 28th. The facility would seat fewer than 10,000 people, a little more than twice the size of Centennial Quarry in Sylvania Township. Opponents say it'll bring too much noise and traffic. Developers still have to meet certain requirements, but say it'll bring business and aim to be open in the next 2 years. It's a program that always brings tears and applause. Flag City Honor Flight returned for its first flights since COVID this year. The trip of a lifetime takes these veterans to see the memorials built in their honor, and its third trip of the year was something really special. Dan Cummins has the story.
It's an early morning on November 1st, 10 days before Veterans Day, but for these men and women who served in Vietnam, it's a day they will never forget.
There's still a lot of us that are staying at home and not getting out, and I really wish they would, because people are trying to make up for what happened, and just maybe if we get enough across to them, we can get them out of the house and out to see something. So I think it can get better if we try.
It's emotional after being spit on or worse when they came back to the USA from Vietnam, but this time they're welcomed home with applause and more. How do you feel, man?
Oh, I can't speak.
We talked earlier, I knew it was going to mean a lot to you, and especially with your wife, Peggy, coming along. Peggy, how did he handle it?
Oh, he did great today.
Dan Cummins, WTOL 11.
That was a wonderful day. From wind to snow and everything in between, we're talking the weather as we continue our look back at the big stories of 2022. As of the beginning of December, this latest winter season has been mild. Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers gives us a look back at the year that was when it comes to your WTOL 11 weather forecast.
The winter season of 2022 kicked into high gear, but not until early February. A furious winter storm, quickly named the Groundhog Day storm, buried northwest Ohio and southern Michigan under heavy snow. Snow began falling on the afternoon of February 2nd, Groundhog Day. Nearly continuous snow for the next 36 hours resulted in 12.7 inches of snow, Toledo's sixth largest snowstorm in recorded history. Travel was snarled, schools canceled, and many communities under level 3 snow emergencies. Snowdrifts in rural areas approached 4 feet. For some, it took days to dig out. By month's end, nearly 20 inches of snow had fallen, landing the month of February as the 11th snowiest on record. The spring severe weather season, slow at first, ramped up by early June. On the evening of June 13th, a large windstorm known as a derecho swept across southern Michigan and northwest Ohio. A wind gust of 98 miles per hour was recorded at Fort Wayne, the highest wind gust ever reported in its history. That signaled the start of the powerful derecho. Winds of 60 to 75 miles per hour swept across our area. Thousands were left in the dark without power. The storm traveled hundreds of miles, leaving a trail of destruction across Ohio. There were no major injuries to report in this storm. June was also remembered for the intense summer heat. By the middle of the month, temperatures soared through the 90s. The first day of summer sizzled. The mercury surged to 100 degrees for the first time since the summer of 2012. The summer heat featured 23 days at 90 degrees or warmer and could only be beat by regular trips to splash in the pool or a refreshing ice cream treat. Overall, this was the 5th warmest summer in Toledo's history. The summer heat was eased by regular rainstorms, leading to a bountiful growing season for our area farmers and a full harvest into the fall season.
I like when you guys give me support. I like when you guys are my fans. And I really appreciate that you guys are helping me out.
That support led this local athlete to a Special Olympics medal. His story and a look back at the big sports happenings of 2022 next. Welcome into our 2022 year of review. Williams County saw off its first Special Olympics athlete to the games this spring. And on June 8th, Dawson Moore won Olympic bronze. Dawson is a competitive runner and has amazing support from his family and his community. Way to go, Dawson. From one inspiring athlete to a year of big plays and, of course, championships. We have a lot to celebrate in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. Jordan Strack takes us through the year in sports.
What a year it was in local sports, and boy, was it full of championship celebrations. March down in Columbus, the Perrysburg wrestling team invaded, and the Blaze brothers stole the spotlight. First, Marcus Blaze went 55-0 as a freshman. He became the #1 wrestler in the country and won a state championship. His brother, Joey Blaze, wouldn't be outdone. For the second straight year, he wins a state title. He will go for 3 straight this year. And on the girls' side, Savannah Isaac went out to Fargo, North Dakota, and made claim as the best in the United States. She wins multiple national titles and has made a name for herself across the country. In June, Northview Baseball stole the show in the high school baseball state tournament. The Wildcats were an underdog in every game from the districts on. They put together a true Cinderella run, and they went on to win a state title for the first time in school history. It was a moment that no one in Sylvania will forget anytime soon.
We do not fold. Like we only bend, but we don't break. That's what we've been saying all year. We bend, but we don't break. In those tough situations where they get up and we just. I'm sorry, there's so many emotions right now. So we just.
Are you enjoying the moment?
Yes, it's insane. It's my dream.
It's my dream.
The Walleye made a historic run. They excited the entire town as they made it to the Kelly Cup Finals for the second time in a row. They played in front of sellout crowds in the Huntington Center almost every night and really captured the hearts of this town. Unfortunately, the run ended in 5 games down in Florida, but it was one heck of a season. The football season saw a ton of champions. First up in Michigan, the Whiteford Bobcats put together an incredible run. They were able to cap it off inside Ford Field with a state championship against Ubley. Right after that, Central Catholic went over to Canton and won a state championship down in Division II. It was their 4th state title since 2005. Only 14 schools in all of Ohio have more championships than the Irish. This team beat state powerhouse Hoban to give Greg Dempsey another ring. And staying with the football theme, a colossal showdown in Columbus ended with Michigan pulling off the upset against Ohio State for the 2nd straight season. In the matchup of number 2 versus number 3, the Wolverines came out on top and then went on to win a Big Ten title. And the Toledo Rockets got the monkey off their backs in the MAC title game for the first time since 2017. They have been so close in recent years to pulling this off, but this year they put it all together. There were some doubters down the stretch, but Toledo was able to bring home the ultimate crown.
Wood County cut the ribbon on its 2nd inclusive playground on November 29th. Nonprofit Wood County Plays launched the effort to create a place for kids of all abilities to play together. The first inclusive playground for Wood County opened last summer in Perrysburg. August 11th was one of our absolute favorite days of the year, the St. Jude Dream Home giveaway. Susan Fandry of White House came out of the drum, and with that, she won the St. Jude Dream Home built by Buckeye Real Estate Group. It is a personal mission for the Fandrys, who bought just 1 ticket.
Back in 2001, we found out our 21-year-old son then had cancer, and the whole family goes through that journey.
You donated more than $2 million for St. Jude. All of that money helps kids battling cancer so their families never receive a bill. You also helped us end the year with our Gift of Joy toy drive. Your generosity helped 1,000 kids in the care of Lucas County Children's Services. Thank you so much for joining us on our special look back on the big local stories of 2022.